Good morning. I'm Kenneth Cusick, the District Attorney of Galveston County. I'm here to announce today, there's already been press releases, but to make a formal announcement about the charges against James Elmore that were handed down by the grand jury yesterday for manslaughter and 2 felony counts of witness or evidence tampering. He was arrested yesterday afternoon. He's in custody, now pending disposition of his cases. My office is going to seek detention in this case, pending trial for various reasons, mainly the circumstances of the case, length of the time, criminal history, and there'll be other things that'll be pointed out to the court. But what my main purpose here today is to convey a message to you that due to the concerted efforts of the law enforcement agencies in this county, this 40-year cycle of violence by these defendants against women, we're trying to make headway on it. And I think we made significant headway yesterday in getting the charge against Mr. Elmore and having him arrested, because the allegations are going to show he was involved with 2 of the murders against Laura Miller and Audrey Cook. And the allegations also include the evidence tampering was about disposition of their bodies. But I want you to know that although it's taken this long, there has been a lot of effort expended, agent hours, office hours, money and lab results, everything else by all of these agencies that are involved. You have the press release with all the agencies involved, but I want to reiterate who helped with this case so nobody's left out. It's the League City Police Department, Hitchcock Police Department, Galveston County Sheriff's Office, the Texas City Police Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Dickinson Police Department, the Galveston Police Department, and the Santa Fe Police Department. Last December, I was approached by Mr. Tim Miller, who's the father of one of the victims, Laura Miller. I understand his concern, his frustration that there had been no closure to this case about Clyde Hedrick, who murdered his daughter, and James Elmore alleged to have assisted this in the disposition of her body. And at that meeting I had with Mr. Miller, I promised him that I would gather in all of the evidence that had been obtained to date for the last, since 1983, and I would take a new objective look at it, and depending on what evidence we had, we would seek appropriate charges against those persons and for those charges that we could prove. And I'm here to tell you that we did that. I fulfilled my promise to Mr. Miller, but I had 2 of my ablest prosecutors in the office, Caitlin Willis and Adam Poole. This evidence was organized, reviewed, and that's what led to the charges yesterday. And I can also tell you that it wasn't just against Mr. Elmore. Clyde Hedrick, who died a little over a week ago, these charges on schedule had been prepared for Clyde Hedrick and for James Elmore. And but for his death a little over a week ago, almost 2 weeks ago, we presented his case to grand jury. I don't know, there was no ruling on that because he's deceased. But I'm telling you, there was no lack of effort to bring this thing forward, make it current, and go after those responsible. And so I want you to know that I'm very proud of the law enforcement agencies in this county today, because all of those efforts, we got to this point. But I also want you to know that this is not over with. Just because Mr. Hedrick's dead, Mr. Elmore has been charged and he's facing his charges, there are other active leads in the case. Therefore, we're not going to elaborate on a bunch of detailed questions, because there are some active leads in this investigation that can still be pursued to bring to justice some people who may have escaped justice thus far. And I also want to finish up by saying the efforts of law enforcement is also a testimony to the fact that some of these cold cases or unsolved murders that have occurred in the county that are not related to the killing fields cases, I ask anybody with information, any leads that could be brought forward to some of the area law enforcement agencies, do it, because I don't want anybody to feel like there's never going to, that this is done. We're never going to solve this murder. Therefore, nobody's going to do anything about it. This is an example of, it took a while, re-examine the stuff, redouble our efforts, but we're able to solve one part of these murders. So nobody should feel demoralized or feel like nothing's going to be done or can't be done. Please provide all information to law enforcement agencies available, because there are a number of unsolved murder cases in this county that still need to be solved. And we will, and I know the agencies will not give up. If we've got leads to act on and information to move forward, we will do it. And we will prosecute if we get enough evidence. So, thank you. We'll take a couple questions, but.
Has Mr. Elmore made any statements?
Sir?
Has Mr. Elmore made any statements?
Well,
Paraphrase.
nothing since his arrest.
Is there any evidence that you can share that links James to these actual crimes, anything at all?
Well, at this point, what's public record is what's in the indictment, the charges, what he was arrested upon. The defense will be able to obtain the discovery as soon as we know who the attorney is and move forward on that. And then at that point, once it becomes disclosed, we would be able to, discuss that further. But since this is a pending case, I don't want to get into that until, an attorney's been appointed or hired, discovery's been made, and that disclosure's already occurred.
Kenneth, you had said too that they're looking into the other cases, in particular the Shonda Rambler case over in Santa Fe. Santa Fe PD last year was digging up on a property where she had been. Elmore was the last person seen with her. They have said all along that he was a lead suspect. That's going to be one of the cases y'all looking into, his possible connection then.
Yeah, we don't rule out any leads, any further investigation that we have at this point, so I don't want to elaborate on that.
How much factor was Elmore's statements to Mr. Miller, Elmore, over the years?
Yes, sir.
How would you characterize the relationship? Were they friends, roommates, relations?
Who are you referring to?
Kedrick and Elmore.
Well, they were friends over the years,
For how long?
decades, since the 80s that we're aware of.
How much of an impact did Mr. Elmore's statements to Mr. Miller have on getting this investigation moving forward?
There are certainly statements that are made that will be useful in the prosecution of the case, but those were not the only statements made by him, therefore not the only evidence. There were other statements made by Mr. Elmore, and then we have other evidence that we would consider corroborating or backing up and proving up the truth of what he said.
You said earlier that Kedrick murdered Laura Miller. He had never been indicted for murder. What changed that you can say that today that hasn't been able to been said over the last 40 years?
Well, because I've only been in office, I haven't been in office 6 months. And so from my review, limited review, and discussions with my prosecutors who have reviewed it thoroughly, there was additional evidence that was forthcoming that allows us to bridge that, which is in addition, includes the evidence against Mr. Elmore. He fits in the whole sequence of events. It's not just, these were separate events that occurred and can be isolated.
So we
Kenneth,
spoke to
let me
James-
ask
we
you here real
spoke to
fast on
James-
Clyde Hendrick. He had just done an interview with the detective that was part of Bell's task force. He dies a few days later. Has there been a cause of death determined that y'all know of for that? Natural causes, suicide, what was it?
There was a finding in the hospital, is that exactly? That he took his own life.
Did he remove his straight tube? Is that how he did it?
That's the understanding of what happened from the doctors at the hospital.
Sir,
In
did
your
you say
presentation to the grand jury, was it for all 4 murders against Hedrick, or just Laura and Audrey? Or was it all 4?
Yes, it was for all 4 and included the activities of Clyde Hedrick as well as James Elmore.
So you felt confident that you would have gotten an indictment in all 4 murders against Clyde Hedrick?
Yes, I don't know what the grand jury, that's their ultimate decision, but I was confident we could have obtained that.
Okay, we're going to take one more question.
So were there things that were missed over these past few decades that you would say led up to this indictment now?
Things that were missed, no, this was a reexamination of what we had. There were some efforts here in the last couple of years that brought things a lot forward and solidified them and such that we could do what we did yesterday.
Real quick.
That's it,
James-
ma'am.
That's it. Thank you very much.
I wanna ask
We're done.
someone else to cut off. I was just gonna say James Elmore's son spoke to us yesterday and said that his dad is innocent. Any message to him? Okay.
Thank y'all for coming out.